Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Sunday. We have a 4-game playoff slate today, starting at 1 o'clock, going all the way up until tonight at 9:30, which is the Grizzlies against the Jazz as the late-night hammer. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Should be another fun slate of NBA, so let's get started. As always, appreciate it if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow on Twitter at the DFS Process, and let's get started. So, point guard plays today, we have Russell Westbrook checking in at $12,100. He's going up against Philly. Sixers, very good defensive team. They are probably going to have Ben Simmons locked in on Russell Westbrook for this entire series. Not saying Westbrook can't get it done because he has had some good games against the Sixers this year, but it's a lot tougher matchup than it was against the Pacers, who played no defense. And against Boston, they're a decent defensive team, but missing some pieces with injuries. Westbrook looks like a good option, but I think I'll probably go a little bit cheaper than Westbrook at $12,100. Like LeBron James looks like a great pivot. He's just almost $2,000 cheaper. You're getting a guy with not as much upside, but he still can drop 60, 65, 70. The minutes should be there in this first game back. He's not getting suspended for violating the protocols. So, nothing to worry about with LeBron James here. The matchup isn't the best because Phoenix is good defensively, but so are the Sixers. So I think, given the almost $2,000 difference in price tag, I'd probably decide with LeBron James. Donovan Mitchell's making his return. He's missed a lot of time, so he's missed over a month. I don't know if he'll be limited or not. We know a guy like him, he has to be reliant on his shot for a lot of his fantasy. Even if his shot's not falling, he's going to continue to shoot. Don't know if he's going to be limited or anything in this first game, but I think 88 is a good enough price tag to where I might go down to like a Chris Paul at $7,500. I think Trae Young looks fine. John Morant led the Grizzlies to a huge win against the Warriors in that overtime win. He was magnificent out there, draining 50% of his threes, almost 50% from the floor. He was super aggressive. He's going to have to do that this series because they're going to need him to step up if they want to have any shot of this series extending into 6 or 7 games. I'm not going to pay $7,200 for Jordan Clarkson. I love Ben Simmons at $7,100. Perfect spot to jump on Ben Simmons. They were being a bit cautious with him late in the season. Like, Sixers had one of the easiest schedules to finish out the season. So a guy like Ben Simmons playing like low 20s in minutes. They were playing teams like Orlando for a lot. They were playing Houston, Chicago, Indiana. So the Sixers were able to take care of business in a lot of these games, so we haven't had to see Simmons play huge minutes. And now it's against Washington. He's going to be on Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is a great player. Also turns the ball over at a pretty high clip some of these games. If that does happen, Simmons could have a huge game in the steals. Probably has a shot to get a double-double at least. He does have triple-double upside as well. $7,100 against Wizards, one of the best matchups you could ask for. Definitely love Ben Simmons way more than Clarkson. I like him more than Bogdanovich. I like him more than Conley. So he's one of my favorites at the point guard position. Wanted to go in the value range here. I'm not going to pay $5,000 for Ish Smith. I'd rather go to Raul Neto at $4,100. And maybe you can look to $3,500 Lou Williams as a spark plug for the Hawks off the bench. But I'm going to go with Ben Simmons. Just love the matchup, and that price tag is way too cheap. At shooting guard, you can go with Bradley Beal at $87. You can also go with Brooks is $6,200. He's been playing great for the Grizzlies. He plays huge minutes just because he's a decent defensive player and he loves to shoot the ball. Probably will take 20-plus shots again tonight. You can go with Derrick Rose as a spark off the bench. Not going to pay $5,000 almost for Bullock or KCP. Maybe a good spot to go with the value play here, like a Raul Neto at $4,100. He's going to see at least some decent minutes. And then Grayson Allen played good minutes after barely playing in that first game. He played 25 minutes off, and he put up almost 30 fantasy points. He had one of the dagger threes to kind of seal the deal for the Grizzlies in that game. So right now, maybe Lou Williams looks like a decent value play. We'll see at least some decent minutes off the bench, $3,500. Not a ton of good value right now. See if Alec Burks is at this position. He's probably small forward eligible. So right now, plug in Lou Williams just as a value play. Small forward definitely can get up to LeBron James. You definitely can go with Tobias. I don't know why these Sixers guys are so cheap. They are in the best spot of any of these teams going up against Washington at home. Barrett's been playing a little bit better. And now that Donovan Mitchell and Conley are both back, it's going to be tough to pay. Or going to be tough to kind of go with Bogdanovich, Ingles on a consistent basis. They could have decent games here, but They're definitely not going to have as much upside, especially Clarkson, as they did with those guys out. We'll see. Probably Burks is nicely priced here. He's $4,500. He comes in as their 6th or 7th man off the bench. He's going to, if he plays better, he might see some closing minutes over Reggie Bullock. Sometimes they close him over R.J. Barrett if Barrett's struggling. He's a very good player in terms of scoring. Shoots the ball at a good clip, 40+% from the floor and 40% from distance. I think he looks like a good option at $4,500. And then you have Jay Crowder at only $4,100. He's been playing, besides that blowout against the Spurs, he was playing 41 minutes and 32 minutes. He's also missed coming off of an injury, but he's been back for at least a few games now, and he's been playing pretty good for them. 41 against the Lakers, he looks like a good option. They're probably going to give him a lot more minutes than guys like Cam Johnson now at this point. Right now, I will go with LeBron, try to get up to him at $10,200. Power forward, you have Julius Randle at $92, you have Davis at $10K. Both guys are viable. And then in the value range, it's Jaren Jackson Jr. at $5,600. In the 4K range, once again, it's back to Jay Crowder, who I think looks fine at $4,100. And that is kind of it. You could go with Sarge if you wanted to, but I will go with Jay Crowder. Guy that can play over 35 minutes here as a starter. Looks to be one of the better value plays on the slate. At center, it's going to be tough to pass on Embiid here. Just such a good spot against Washington. He's going to absolutely dominate the paint here against guys like Alex Len, especially like Lopez and Gafford. And he's crushed against Washington this year. Expecting a lot of the same against the Wizards this time in the first series. Especially with the Sixers having so much time off. They haven't played in like 8 days. So their first game in 9 days. Embiid should be fresh. Minutes should be big. And expecting a monster game out of Embiid. Other viable centers, I would say, are Gobert, $7,700. Even DeAndre Ayton at only $6,200 just because the Lakers play big, so he's going to be out there. And that is it. I don't really want to play any center against Embiid. So go ahead and put in Embiid at $9,800. So feel pretty good about so far. We got Embiid and LeBron as the superstars. Ben Simmons as another solid option with 2 good value plays. And then we'll round it out here in the guard spot with a couple of different ways to go here. Definitely can go with the Chris Paul at only $7,500. He's nicely priced here. You could go with a Dylan Brooks as a value option. Even go down to like a Raul Neto at $4,100 as well. For me, go with Chris Paul. He's at a good price tag, $7,500. It leaves you with just $3,900 left. Look at some value plays in that range. You can go with maybe Allen, probably Bertans, and know about how many minutes Hunter's going to play. He's a good player, but he's missed a lot of time this year with injuries, so we'll see if they're cautious with him. And I think Alec Burks looks good at $4,500. And then in the utility, if you need a cheap center, maybe you can go with, I don't want to play anybody against Embiid. One of these centers is going to be out there, so as long as, Len is probably going to get into foul trouble, I would say, so maybe Lopez is their best bet to kind of contain Embiid. Wanted to go a bit cheaper at the guard spot besides Chris Paul. I would probably go with Burks as my value play at $4,500. Wanted to leave you guys with a little bit more money left. I think Burks looks good. Just because it's a good matchup for the Knicks as well. The Atlanta plays fast. Should be a pace-up spot for the Knicks at home. Burks been playing great. He's been playing like closing minutes, and he's been playing starter minutes even though he comes off the bench. He has the ability to put up north of 30. Even has a monster ceiling if he gets hot shooting, and I think a good chance he closes over in a one of Alfred Payton or maybe Bullock or maybe even Barrett. So that's it for DraftKings. Feel pretty good about it. Definitely want to attack the Sixers on this slate, and I think LeBron looks great against the Suns. Now on to FanDuel here. Point guard plays. You have Westbrook checking in at very expensive $12,000. You have kicking at Trae Young at $3,300 cheaper. John Moran at $3,800 cheaper. Chris Paul at over $4,000 cheaper. I love Paul. I love Ben Simmons. Both are in great spots. Both are, well, especially Ben Simmons is in a great spot. In the value range, you can go to Raul Neto at $4,000. And that's kind of it. So for me, I'll go with Ben Simmons again. Just think he's going to have a very good game. In terms of maybe some of the defensive stats, and the Sixers should put up a lot of points. Hopefully Simmons has a lot of assists, and he should be able to have his way in the paint if he wants to be aggressive. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal's going to have his hands full, keeping the Wizards in this game scoring. He's going to take a lot of shots. He looks like a good option. Mitchell is affordable. Only $8,000. Looks a lot better than he does on DraftKings. And then in the value range here, it's like Lou Williams at $3,800. Looks pretty good as a value option. And I think Burks might be small forward again. No, he's shooting guard. He's 52, though, so he's kind of expensive. So for me, I'll probably go with like a Lou Williams as a value play again, $3,800 off the bench. Small forward, easily get up to LeBron if you wanted to at $10,500. And then you have he's the only spend up besides Bogdanovich. And then in the mid range, you're looking at guys like Hachimura, Kuzma, Gallinari, and then the position really dies off after that. So I'll definitely get up to LeBron at $10,500, fill out 2 small forward spots. Power forward, it is Julius Randle at 98, Davis at 10.8. I like LeBron more than Davis today, and Randle looks good at 98 if you wanted to pay all the way up for him. Crowder is 48, so he's not super expensive, but he's somewhat more expensive than he is on DraftKings. I wanted to go all the way to a value play, like Bertans is the only guy that looks somewhat reasonable. So you're probably going to have to make some adjustments here. I think Jaren Jackson looks good. He could get into foul trouble like he always does, but should play some decent minutes if he's not in foul trouble. He does give you upside as well. I'll go with Crowder again. And then at center, definitely will be able to pay up for a guy. You definitely like Embiid as my pay up. You can go with, I don't want to pay $9K for Valanciunas, even though he's playing great. I'll probably go Gobert over Valanciunas, and then you have DeAndre Ayton at $6,200. But for me, it's very tough to fade Joel Embiid today. So go with Embiid and Simmons to kind of carry the lineups on both sides. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.